Every day I'm hustling, 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 hustling. Every day I'm hustling, 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 every day I'm every day I'm every day I'm hustling, every day I'm hustling, every day I'm.
Working today is usually quite safe. The government has made laws saying that employers have to look after the workforce and provide safety equipment, among other things for them. At the start of the Industrial Revolution, none of these laws existed, and so working in a factory could prove to be somewhat dangerous. Industries such as the cotton trade, such as the steel mills and the mining companies, all were very dangerous and very unsafe. Our presentation is going to look at how these unsafe conditions, along with the long hours and very low wages, led to the rise of unions such as the National Labor Union, the Knights of Labor, the American Federation of Labor, and the American Railroad Union, and we'll be covering the major strikes and key players.
National labor unions and some of their accomplishments. The history of national labor unions shows both labor's high hopes for radical change and the difficulties of achieving it. The National Labor Union was founded in 1866 in Baltimore when a man by the name of William Silvis decided to seize the opportunity by the growing numbers in the labor force. William Harding, the president of the Coachmakers International Union, met with William Silvis, president of the Iron Molders International Union, that led to a preliminary meeting called by these two leaders, started the convening of a National Labor Convention in Baltimore on August 20th, 1866. The National Labor Union brought together a diverse working population that involved metalworkers, coal miners, clothing and shoemakers, construction workers, typographers, and other trades. The NLU's first priority was to establish a set of change and political action goals that included an 8-hour workday, law in every state, reforming the banking, currency, and tax system to benefit people of small means, abolishing convict labor, securing the distribution of public lands to homesteaders, and building a national labor party to work for these and other reforms. William Silvis was a key role in the formation of the National Labor Union. William Silvis was born into a poor white family, and if anyone knew the meaning of hard work, it would be him. He worked countless hours throughout his life to merely make ends meet. As he got older and started a family of his own, he realized that the unfair labor wages weren't going to be enough to support his family. As a leader of the National Labor Union, William Silvis worked like a demon to get his strong views heard. This is a quote I found of his. Capital blights and withers all it touches. It is the new aristocracy, proud, imperious, dishonest, seeking only profit and exploitation of the workers. But labor is the foundation of the entire political, social, and commercial structure, the attribute of all that is noble and good in civilization. NLU held the first convention advising women to organize working women unions or joining existing ones. NLU believed that women should be paid equal wages for the equal work. Although NLU did not promote women's voting rights, they did seat the first woman, Elizabeth Cady Stanton. Elizabeth Cady Stanton from the Women's Suffrage Association at its 1868 convention. NLU urged regulation against Chinese workers in the United States. National Labor Union believed that the Chinese were causing many of the problems in the labor force in the U.S. because they were accepting a much lower pay than a white man would accept at the time. The Chinese were replacing much of the workforce in the U.S. NLU also endorsed black workers, and by the 1869 delegates from black organizations were attending NLU conventions. However, the NLU never made an effective alliance between black and white workers. After bringing blacks into the NLU, racist tendencies prevailed at the time. which caused the deterioration of the Union. The Panic of 1873 in America severely damaged the NLU and soon disappeared after. The major accomplishment of the National Labor Union was that they were able to mandate the $8 a work day throughout the states. But the major downfall was that the National Labor Union was trying to represent too many demographics, including women's working rights, such as equal pay. They were involving blacks in their union, which at the time was not accepted amongst the
Knights of Labor. The Knights of Labor was the largest and one of the most important American labor organization of the 1880s. However, before they were associated under the name of the Noble Order of the Knights of Labor, the collapse of the National Labor Union in 1873 left a vacuum for workers looking for organization. The Knights became better organized with a national vision when they replaced their former leader, Stephens, with Terence Reed Powderly as their new and major leader. As membership expanded, Knights began to function more as a labor union and less like a fraternal organization. They were also initiated strikes to win concession from employers. In 1882, the Knights ended their membership rituals and removed the words Noble Order from their name and just were addressed as Knights of Labor. The Knights' primary demand was for an 8-hour day. They also called for legislation for child and convict labor. Their membership increased every year with large number. However, it did collapse after their major strike known as the Haymarket Affair, or riot, of May 1886. Their strike was for a minimum of 8-hour day as their primary demand. The Knights were badly tarnished nationwide with the image of violence and anarchy. They lost many grabs unionists that year to their rival unions such as Railroad Union and the New American Federation of Labor. Membership was reduced to 17,000 from 800,000. However, remnants of the Knights of Labor continued in existence until 1949 when the group's last 50 members local dropped from its affiliation.
The American Federation of Labor was founded by a alliance of 13 craft unions at the convention called by the Federation of Organized Trade and Labor Unions. The American Federation of Labor was founded on two fundamental principles: pure and simple unionism, which was a narrow focus on wages, hours, and better working conditions, and also voluntarism, a strict reliance on only the union and its members. In May 1st, 1890, the AFL selected the Brotherhood of Carpenters to be the first union to go on strike as part of the new American Federation of Labor. They were striking for the 8-hour day, which they won for 46,000 of its members. Between 1890 and 1894, the AFL went on to stage more than 7,500 strikes. Also, they were pretty radical because in 1890, the AFL convention resolved to deny any membership to any union that denied membership to people based on the color of their skin. And you saw this come through in the New Orleans strike of 1892, where black and white workers both went on strike and both improved their wages and hours and working conditions. Even though they sought to improve better working conditions for all races, they, like many others, still dislike the Chinese. The big strike for the American Federation of Labor was the Homestead Strike of 1892. In 1892, they faced off against Andrew Carnegie Steel Mill and the Pinkertons. And about 1/4 of the 3,800 workers were union workers. Once the contracts expired on June 30th, 1892, the plant was to become non-union. They were going to cut wages by 22%. Of course, the American Federation and the Steelworkers Union didn't like this, so they went on strike. A big incident happened on July 6, 1892, when 300 Pinkertons, which was the secret police that the plant had hired to take back the mill, snuck onto the plant, only to be spotted by patrol workers. The scene would end up erupting in chaos and violence, and left about 7 workers and 3 Pinkertons dead. When the state militia arrived, the American Federation of Labor and the union workers were happy to see them, but once they found out that they had been sent on behalf of the steel mill, that quickly changed. Also, we saw the criminal justice system come to help the steel mill and not the people. In the end, this was a major loss for the American Federation of Labor, and after this, it slowly decreased its membership and things. In the end, the American Federation was a very successful labor. It continued to be successful up until the 1895, which is one of the longest running unions. It won many major key battles, but in the end, it started decreasing because of racial tensions, and as well as high membership dues and fees.
The year 1893 was the biggest economic crisis in the century of history. Industrial growth, financial manipulation, uncontrolled speculation, and profiting all collapsed. 642 banks failed and 16,000 businesses closed down, starting the Depression of 1893. The Depression lasted for a few years, and wage strikes throughout the United States began. One of the largest strikes was the nationwide strike of railroad workers in 1894 that worked in the Pullman Company in Illinois. One of the largest of these strikes was the nationwide strike of railroad workers in 1894 that began at the Pullman Company in Illinois, just outside of Chicago. These workers worked at a Pullman Company. The workers that worked at the Pullman Company lived in the company. The owner was George Pullman. He controlled the community thoroughly. He also, during his time, wages were being reduced and rent was still being the same. It wasn't being decreased. Due to this, the workers were being fed up and decided to make a union. Eugene B. Debs was convicted of violating a court order and sentenced to prison. The American Railroad Union dissolved, and it may have not been a success.